This is part 2 of the advanced Mailchimp setup. So essentially what we're going to be doing is connecting this button in to allow us to use that merge, or I've also called it source field, so that we can have a single campaign list, but we can have multiple options in that list, segmentations I mean. So for example, what I've done is I've gone in and actually created multiple lists with names that you might see. For example, Twitter, Amazon, you might have a master list. So let's just say that we had 10 in each one of these, 10 subscribers in each one of these. If you wanted to send a campaign to all 30 of them, you'd have to send 3 separate campaigns. You can also go through and do what's called a combine list, which I've found to be quite a pain to do. There might be other methods to do this, and I've tried a few, and none of them have been very painless, except for the final one that I've started working with, and that is using the merge field. So if we go into the master list, again, we can see here that we've created this merge field, so we have folks listed from Twitter and from Facebook and from InBook, and you could do whatever you want in here. What's nice about this is now if I want to send a campaign, I can send it to everybody in this list. Instead, if I want to just send it to Twitter folks, I can create the campaign and do the segment for source field is Twitter. And at that point, it will only send to them. So what we're going to need is a little bit of information from this. So what we're going to do is click, sorry about that, we're going to click Sign Up Forms from the list screen. Then we're going to click Embedded Forms. And we're going to scroll down. We're not going to worry about anything else on this page. Basically, all we're going to do is in this section right here, we're just going to click, and it's going to highlight for us. Then we're going to go ahead and copy that. Now you can use Control-C or Command-C if you're on a Mac. We're going to go into a text editor. It doesn't matter what text editor you use. And we're going to paste that data in there. Now we're just going to keep this because we're going to need to have some data from this in order to set up our stuff properly. Okay, now coming back here, let's go ahead into our dashboard, and we're going to go down to the Bloom section. Now hopefully you followed along when we did the basic setup, so you can know a little bit of what's going on here, but just in case, I'll take it a little bit slower. So we are going to click on a new opt-in. We're going to want to have it be a pop-up. In this one, I'm going to go ahead and name it Newsletter Sign Up Dynamic, because this one's actually going to work on multiple pages. Now, you would probably think at this point that I would want to choose Mailchimp as my drop-down item, because we're going to be hooking into Mailchimp. But actually what we're going to want is the very bottom item, which is custom HTML form. And then I'm going to provide code for you excuse me, on the web page that has all of the code that you're going to need to insert in here. So for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and cut and paste that code in. I'm not going to cover this code, not going to go over it in other words. It's basically a lot of HTML that is from the Mailchimp server. It's essentially very similar to the code right here, except I've modified it. And I've also added in JavaScript and jQuery to this code. So I'm not going to cover it in detail. If you're a developer, then you can go through there and make changes as you see fit. All right. Next up, we're going to go to Design Your Opt-in. And just like we did in the basic, we're going to be choosing this guy right here. So click on that. Scroll down. Click on Customize. Okay. Now at this point, if you click on Preview, it's going to look weird. And that's because it's actually using my HTML, my custom HTML. That said, we're still going to want to do a couple of things. We're going to want to put in our opt-in message and center it. And we're also going to want to put in our where should I send the books bit. Align that to center. Okay. We're still going to want to remove the no image at the top. Okay. And I'm also going to use this just because I think it looks nice. We don't have to touch any of the text down here now because it's going to be done inside of code. And then we're going to move on to display settings. I'm going to take off the triggering at the bottom of the post and the time delay. And instead I'm going to set it as an on click. And inside of the on click, we are going to have the following. Now this is actually going to be connecting to our button. This button's value happens to be this class value right here. So that's why I pulled that over. Okay. And now I can actually say display on everything. So at this point, any page that we want to connect this button to, we can, and it'll work just fine because it's going to be done handled by code as opposed to handled the way that it was before. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click Save and Exit. Okay, so now we have our dynamic setup here. So at this point, if I go and click on this, we're going to get a pop-up. Now it's not connected in yet, so it's not actually going to do anything, but as you can see, it does come up just like we want it to. All right, now we're going to need to go ahead and connect this in. So we're going to go to the Pages section, and we're going to click on Home, Edit Home. Okay, and we're going to come down to the newsletter sign up and click on that hamburger. And I'm copying some code from a different window right now, so I'm going to bring it in. All right, now we're scrolling down here. Now you want to click on this text tab. Make sure that you're not in visual. You can tell because you can see all these multicolored boxes up here and so on. You click on text and you're going to see all of these as more of a text with a little bit of a gray background behind them. So make sure that you're in the text mode. And then we're going to go ahead and paste in the code. Again, this code will be made available on the website, so you can just cut and paste it from there. Now I know this looks kind of scary, but there's a few things in here that we need to replace. You can replace a lot of this stuff, and I'll go through what you can do, but for right now, let's go ahead and just replace the pieces that we need. So the first thing we're going to need is the form action code. And if we go back over here to the code that we copied from Mailchimp, you're going to see something right here that says form action. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy everything between those two quotes, and we're going to move that right here. So don't paste it by highlighting it because it'll make it a link. So instead, highlight that and delete it, and then paste. All right, the next thing we need is the form input name, which is going to look very similar to this number mixed with this number. So when you're looking over here, when you see these two big numbers, just kind of come down a little bit, and you'll see right here those two numbers show up again, except they have a little bit of a different format. So you're going to find that, and we're going to put that also in here. So again, you highlight this, delete it, and then paste. And then finally, what we're going to do is the source value. So highlight that and delete it, and I'm going to type in Facebook because I want this particular one to link to my Facebook. Okay. The other thing that you'll see here is that you can set the button text color, the button background color, and this is all done in CSS. Okay, so we have the success color, we have the success text, so you can put in what you want there, any error text that you want, and so on. You can change these all you want. Just make sure that they are using proper codes and that they are kept within the quotes. And then we're going to save and exit. We'll preview that. Okay, so if this worked right, then what we can do is, you notice that this is now a red button. Before it was kind of an orange color from what we had from the Bloom setup. When we click this, we should get this field required. Okay, if we put a W, it'll say, give me a valid address. And so what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I'll give you a valid address. I'll put John at the author helper, and I'll click send, and there we go. So now at this point, this is going to go ahead and send me an email, and I'll have to obviously approve it, and then I'll get put into the list. But what we're going to want to do now is, let me close this back up. Let's go back in here, and just so you can see this, I'm going to say I want to set the button text color to black. So And you can just use the 3 color code, it's fine too. I just happen to be used to doing that. And then I will change the background color, and let's just see what that does. Click on this and you see it made it like a purple pink type color. So you can see that you can change the colors in here if you want, and all that kind of stuff should work just fine. All right, and I got an email over here asking me to sign up. So I said that I did. So let's go back over here and see if I actually did get signed up. There I am, and it's showing up as Facebook. So that's basically how we're going to integrate that in. There is one word of caution, and that is if you come over here and you click on the visual, you're going to see that there's nothing in here. And when you come back, you're going to see that it's added these C data tags to things. This can cause problems. I've actually seen it break a few websites. If this happens to you, all you have to do is come in and highlight this section, remove it, and remove that, so it comes right back to being butted up next to the script. And then down at the bottom, what you want to do is you want to remove from the back of this all the way until the less than sign of this script, and make sure that you're in text, and then save it out again, and you should be okay at that point. It should actually work even if it does get switched over to using C data, but if you're finding problems on your site and you have recently done some edits in that area, that's the first thing that you should check. And I think that's going to about do it for this video. So we're also going to be covering, how to create a page a little bit separate from this one to just specifically target something like Twitter, for example. So we'll get to that one next.